Hello and welcome to Mystic Visions. This is a daily pick a card reading for January 5th, which is Tuesday, and the purpose of this reading is to give you a brief piece of advice or to help guide your overall focus for the day. And if you're looking for a longer, more detailed reading, please check out my general readings for the month. And if you are new to pick a card readings, the way this works is that you'll choose from one of the three piles here, and then you'll scroll down to the description and click the timestamp for your choice, and it'll skip ahead in the video to your reading. Now, if you feel like you want to choose more than one card, that is completely fine. Please follow your intuition here. There's probably some good advice in each reading, even if one is just a little more accurate than the others. So I've also added 3 crystals here to aid in your selection. And today we have a Herkimer diamond for pile 1. This is amethyst for pile 2. And this is serpentinite for pile 3. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds so you can meditate on your choice if you wish, and once you have your choices in mind, go ahead and find the timestamp for your choice in the description below. So let's go ahead and start the 30 seconds now. Okay, so if you haven't already done so, please go ahead and make your selection and scroll down to the description to find the timestamp for your choice. So let's go ahead and let's start with the Herkimer diamond. If you chose the Herkimer, we have the King of Cups, the Five of Cups, and the Chariot. Okay. So, King of Cups, this is a person who's in touch with his emotions, and he is often somebody that people come to for advice. So, you may be feeling pretty good about that. There may be somebody who's asking for your advice or trying to kind of vent to you in an emotional sort of way. This can also mean that you need that person. You need that person to, or that there's somebody that you're sort of venting to. But in one way or another, this king is really good at interacting with other people in the realm of emotions about, being a shoulder to cry on, or just being able to understand what's going on. So either you are this person or you are in need of this person. The Five of Cups here almost suggests that you may be in need of this person a little bit more, but I guess it could also be the situation that is presented to you where somebody here is kind of looking at the glass as half empty. The Five of Cups generally has like a figure who is really upset about 3 cups that are spilled, and he has 2 cups behind him that he's not really paying attention to that are still upright and full. So the idea there is that the glass is a little bit half empty for this person. So there may be a need to adjust the focus to and whether it be for you or someone else, there's a need to kind of adjust that focus to what you still have that's good, to the fact that this isn't really the end of the world. There is still some positive silver lining that is coming out of this. Now, what's your advice card here is this Chariot, and the Chariot has a feeling of like there's actually some accomplishment here. So it may be that the 2 glasses that are still upright are that you've really accomplished something, or you have something under your belt that has improved, or that you've improved your life with, or that you've been able to have a couple victories in this process. And so all is not lost. There's definitely some good to come of this, but the advice part comes in where the Chariot is about choosing a direction, or choosing which way you're going to take something, choosing how to carry forward. So there's a need for you to sort of focus on, instead of like worrying about what's happened in the past, of figuring out a direction for the future, figuring out what you're going to do from here. So there's kind of like you got to keep swimming instead of sinking to this. And the King of Cups is, to me, a really good swimmer. So he doesn't let all of that, the negative things that have happened, he doesn't let all of that sort of get him down. He just continues on and figures out his direction from whatever happens to him. He may use what's happened to him and the emotions, the negative emotions that he's felt, to inform his future decisions, but he certainly doesn't, ruminate on those things and let them get to him. Okay, so that's about it for the first card. So we're going to go ahead and move on to card number 2 if you chose the Amethyst. Okay. So for card number 2, the Amethyst, we have the Empress. So there's a little bit of this, divine feminine energy about you. There is there's a nurturing need. There's somebody that you're trying to take care of, somebody that you care very deeply about, and you're projecting this energy in a pretty intense way. So it's, it's not so necessarily a person. This very much could be, this has like a gardener or a caretaker of some sort written all over it. But in some way or another, it's important to you to sort of be a nurturing force, a caring force in somebody's life. So the crossing energy here, the King of Cups, the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is, in the upright position, he's a very romantic, kind of go with the flow type of person. And I'm thinking that this was possibly something that kind of went wrong, something that there may have been like a relationship or a romantic interest that kind of went sour or turned on you. And this may have kind of weighed on you a little bit today. It may have been heavy on your mind, or it may be heavy on your mind. Hopefully I don't put that in your brain, but so this can kind of like creep back up if there's some sort of like unresolved drama or something that's occurred there. And it just may be with you a little bit today. This can also mean being a little bit resistant to a kind of go with the flow energy, or being resistant to romance, not having as much of that aspect of yourself projecting today. And, it really is something that the Empress needs. She definitely is in touch with her intuition and her emotions. Not so much as some of the other characters in the deck, but that's definitely a source that feeds her strengths and abilities. She's able to tap into those things when she needs to. And so rejecting that kind of energy or feeling like you're over it, you don't want anything to do with it, is definitely not going to be the way to go. So just remember that. I mean, mistakes may have been made, and that's fine to recognize that and move on. But you don't want to kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater, if you know what I mean. You don't want to close yourself off to that type of energy, but just recognize that maybe it wasn't right the way that it was. Now, advice for you here is the Justice card. So Justice, this is about logic, and, justice is fairly self-explanatory, but what this is saying in your advice card is to essentially focus on the outcome of the situation, kind of adhering to that justice, that things do happen according to some sort of logic or plan or reason, and so don't feel like this is sort of like an overarching reality or something like that. There were specific causes that did contribute to this thing going the way that it did, and so that's another reason for you to kind of like not close yourself down, but instead to recognize that every person deserves their sort of chance. And like another aspect of justice here is like innocent until proven guilty, right? And it's not the same in every culture, but in a great deal of them, this principle is that every person really deserves the chance to prove themselves, and so you shouldn't allow negative situations to to make you not give people a fair chance or to be skeptical right away. Now, this is not, the judgment card. If it was the judgment card, I would say, like, okay, pay attention to these past, events that have occurred, and there's, something that your intuition is trying to tell you. But when the justice card comes up, it's a little bit more of, well, think about this a little bit logically and don't close yourself off too much. And again, this is a daily reading, so this is not advice that I'm giving you till the end of time to follow, but this is something that may direct you well today. It may be good for your focus today for this. Okay, so that's about it for card 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to card number 3 for the Serpentinite. If you chose this, we have the Devil, Temperance in the reverse, and the Star in the reverse. Okay, this is interesting. This is kind of a bigger reading. It doesn't quite surprise me that the Devil came up under the Serpentinite, but you got all 3 major arcana cards and bigger ones, bigger energies here. You can think of the major arcana kind of more as like the changing of the seasons, whereas the minor arcana are kind of like the daily weather. So things swing quite a bit more in the sort of day-to-day thing, but then there are bigger themes to life that these major arcana are kind of getting at. So this is a pretty big message here for a daily reading. So the Devil being the situation, this is a little bit, the Devil represents a side of you that kind of sees the dark, sees the separation, sees the drama of life as real, right? And then the counterpart, the opposite of that, would be to kind of understand reality as sort of like something that's centered around you. You know what I mean? Something that is centered around your experience and a unity in all things instead of like separate events and separate people and things like that. It's all kind of one energy. So in the Devil, you're kind of more prone to seeing the drama of the thing unfold. You are also sometimes driven a little bit more by desire and by ego, and it can kind of it can keep you trapped, and it can feel like you're sort of chained to certain things like work or money or certain habits or, things like that, addictions. So this may be the situation that you're feeling today, where you just feel a little bit over encumbered by those desires, maybe a little powerless, or just feeling like maybe temptation and that kind of thing is getting the better of you today. And that's okay. We all have our weak days. It's not the end of the world. So don't beat yourself up about that. But it helps to recognize it if it is occurring. So the crossing energy here is Temperance in the reverse. So, this can mean that what's going on here is that you're kind of seeking after comfort a little bit, or you're not willing to challenge yourself or grow. You're trying to get in these like comfortable cycles, and you're trying to make a life that's sort of easy. And if you're a veteran of my channel, you know that I love quotes to go along with my reading. So for this, I would say Bruce Lee said it well: do not pray for an easy life, but instead pray for the strength to overcome to endure, not overcome, but to endure a difficult life. So that's the message here, is that temperance is something that it challenges you and it feels hard. It's like a struggle, but it's actually working in your benefit in the long run. It's something that is building you up, not something that's breaking you down. And very likely the only real difference there is your attitude towards it. There's a lot of research that shows that successful people view stress in a slightly different way than unsuccessful people. They tend to see it as an opportunity to excel and to build their character rather than something that is harming them or breaking them down. So there's definitely an opportunity here for you to take the not so quick and easy path and to basically, attempt to do it the correct way. And in the process, it may be a little more difficult, but it's going to be worth it because you're going to become quite a better person. Or I don't want to say a better person because that brings too much duality into it, but you're going to feel more fulfilled by the person that you are. You're going to feel more confident in yourself. Okay, so advice for you here is the star in the reverse. So I think what this is saying is that this can be driven. This whole thing can be driven by a need to feel like you want to control the situation instead of feeling like everything can work out on its own and things can be okay that way. There's a little bit of like, nope, I do not trust that. I do not trust the universe. I do not have faith that things will work out unless I take it by the horns and control it, right? So the star is a message of surrender, of realizing that nothing is ultimately in control, that you can't predict everything, you can't prepare for every sort of circumstance. Now, that doesn't mean that you should not try at all, that you shouldn't be prudent, that you should just sort of say, well, whatever, there's no reason to try to do anything the right way because it could all screw up. There's a balance to everything. But when this comes up, it's saying that you may be trying a little too hard to control things, that you may be essentially you've got too tight of a grip on the situation, and you may be just a little too worried about things. Or if not too worried about things, just too determined to have control over the situation. So the advice here is to check yourself a little bit and recognize that even though it is good to have a sort of a prudence about you, to be careful about things, there is a limit to when that becomes something more like a prison than walls that protect you, right? So that's pretty good. That's a pretty interesting message there for the Serpentinite. And that'll do it for today's reading. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave me a comment and let me know what you thought about your reading. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the next daily reading. Thank you for watching Mystic Visions.